Have you ever heard anything about Cincinnati study? In this video, we would like to speak about one of the most infamous abuse medical research projects and how we can prevent such misconduct in the future.
Abusive medical research. Hello everyone, welcome to Lancet Summer YouTube channel. Dr. Salamati, could you please tell us what you are going to discuss today?
For today, we are going to speak about one of the book entitled The Occasional Human Sacrifice. The author of the book is Professor Carl Elliott. He is both philosopher and physician, and the book was published in May 2024, and it's about an abusive medical research called Cincinnati Effects Study.
And could you please explain how Professor Elliott introduces this topic in his book?
After visiting the University of Cincinnati Medical Center and its Eugen Sanger radioisotope laboratory, he searched about a misconduct memorial in the hospital. However, nobody knew anything about the misconduct, and after a while, only a clerk could find a small plaque about the misconduct hidden within the bushes in one of the yards of the hospital, and a statement was written on the plaque: in memoriam cancer patients radiation effects study 1960 to 1972, presented by their families. It showed that nobody reminded the victims and there was no apology by officials.
Dr. Salamati, could you please tell us a bit more about who Eugen Sanger was and what he did?
To be more precise, Eugen Sanger was the principal investigator of the project. He enrolled about 80 patients in his study for about 10 years. Most patients were Black patients from low socioeconomic status. They received a huge amount of different radiations without any therapeutic purpose. The patients thought that they were receiving a life-saving treatment while they could receive different doses of the radiations. Sadly, a quarter of them passed away through 2 months, and the more doses they received, the higher risks of death would be.
Dr. Naji, would you please elaborate on the problems and issues that are present in human research?
Well, human research often presents a variety of ethical dilemmas due to the complexities for balancing one, scientific advancement, 2, participant welfare, and 3, societal benefits. You know better than me, some of them are current ethical issues like end-of-life decisions, for example in euthanasia and assisted suicide. And the other one is informed consent and patient autonomy. And third one, allocation of scarce resources like organ donations and vaccines. And the last one is data privacy and use of health information technology. Meanwhile, ethicists encounter a range of other principles and dilemmas in healthcare and should be cautious about them, like, for example, informed consent, risk versus benefit, vulnerable populations, use of placebo, and conflict of interest, cultural sensitivity, withdrawal of participation, and dual use of research, and publication bias and post-trial access. Needless to say that all those mentioned above, navigating these dilemmas require a thoughtful application of ethical principles, adherence of regulatory guidelines, and ongoing ethical reflection among researchers. Among them, informed consent and risk versus benefit and vulnerable populations, exactly related to the article illuminated by Professor Salamati.
Dr. Salamati, could you please provide insight on how to avoid facing such ethical issues similar to what happened on human research project at the University of Cincinnati?
To be more specific, Cincinnati Radiation Effects Study is one of the most important topics in bioethics textbooks. Sadly, there were other harmful projects in history of medicine, such as Nuremberg clinical trial from 1946 to 1947, Tuskegee study for untreated syphilis among black males from 1932 to 1972, and Whistleblower project for hepatitis study from 1956 to 1971. As a result, in recent decades, bioethicists developed new guidelines and protocols, including the Nuremberg Codes, the Belmont Report on Ethical Principles and Guidelines for the Protection of Human Subjects of Research, and the Declaration of Helsinki on Ethical Principles for Medical Research involving human subjects.
Dr. Naji, could you please tell us if there are other documents or codes for human research?
Sure. Of course, there are other instructions and guidelines. For instance, the National Statement on Ethical Conduct in Human Research, published by the National Health and Medical Research Council of Australia, was most recently published in 2023, and fortunately one of the previous versions of this guideline was translated into Farsi in 2007 and published by Institute for Humanities and Cultural Studies in Iran. As the Australian publisher describes, quote, "The purpose of national statement is to promote ethically good human research, and the fulfillment of this purpose requires that participants be accorded the respect and protection that is due to them more than the ethical issues. It involves the fostering of research that is of benefit to the community. The national statement is designed to clarify the responsibilities of two groups, institutions and researchers, for the ethical design, conduct, and dissemination of results of human research, and review bodies in the ethics review of research." End of quote.
And would you please explain how ethicists design these codes?
Sure. Well, based on an enriched history of ethics and morality in medicine, scholars determined that these four pillars of medical ethics must be considered in all medical research. First of all, autonomy. It means respecting patients' right to make their own decision deliberately. The second one is beneficence. That means obligation to act in the best interest of the patient. and non-maleficence, that means the duty to do no harm, and the last one, justice, fair distribution of healthcare resources and fair treatment.
Dr. Salamati, what conclusion does the author of this paper ultimately reach?
After visiting the University of Cincinnati, Professor Elliott wrote a post and uploaded the picture of the small plug in social media. He could attract public attention to this problem. However, the author of the paper was said at the end, new flowers are planted, the plug is cleared and cleaned, but it is still a tiny plug in an out-of-the-way space that makes no real reckoning of the steep asymmetry of power between researcher, whistleblower, and the people abused in research.
Thank you all for your time and explanations. In this video, we review the paper titled Abusive Medical Research, Whistleblowers, and Institutional Power, which was published in the Lancet journal on September 21st, 2024. Once again, the goal of this YouTube channel is to provide a summary of medical hot topic recently published in the Lancet journal. Don't forget to like this video, leave your comment below this video, and subscribe to our channel.